Hi, this is Professor Cordes, and this is the Week 2 overview video for English 353 Children's Literature. This week, ladies and gentlemen, we are jumping into a very classic, very well-known story of Cinderella. Last week, we had the opportunity to look at fairy tales and folk tales and fables kind of holistically as a collection. Now we're going to go into a specific story and begin to look at how that story has evolved, to look at how this story has kind of impacted us through culture, through time, through circumstance. So it's there's a lot to this Cinderella week, but it's all very enjoyable. Very first thing that you see here is the overview for what to expect. A lot of this is reading and a lot of this is the project. So there's kind of two major things for this week. Everything that you will notice here is due by day 7. And your goal is to kind of manage your time. If it takes you longer to do the readings, let's focus there. If it's going to take you longer to do the project, let's focus our time there. So you're going to want to begin to work on these items kind of simultaneously. There is a great video and instructional guide for the project, which I will talk about and introduce later. But for the most part, we're doing reading and the project. That's what this week looks like. For this, we are reading through various different forms and adaptations of Cinderella. So we're looking at things for our culture. We are looking at literary element components. We are looking at the different aspects of Cinderella and how they are used by different authors in different times in different places. So when you read through, you've got, let's see here, 6-ish readings that you're going to be doing. Most of these are the fairy tales themselves. So you've got the Chinese fairy tale here. You've got the Grimm fairy tale, Joseph Jacobs' adaptation, which kind of combines two stories, one of Cinderella and one of another. You get the, Native American rendition. You also get the kind of offshoot of Ella Enchanted. Ella Enchanted uses components of Cinderella, just like in any fairy tale or folk tale, like we learned in week 1, there are certain elements, whether that be magic, creatures, like the hero's journey, whatever the component is, they're kind of picked and chosen, and then used in those stories. So Ella Enchanted chooses some of those elements, places them into the story, and you can kind of begin to see where the themes overlap for Cinderella. You also have a reading here about the evolution, about the adaptation. When you are done with all of those readings, there is a reading quiz. Again, just like before, you have the entire week to take that. You get one attempt, but there is no time limit. So I would always kind of make sure that you've taken some notes. You really know those stories as you go into the quiz. And then you have the Cinderella adaptation project. There is a wonderful video here that's been set up for you by another one of our professors. She goes into great detail about the steps of the project. I don't need to reiterate anything. She does a fantastic job. Read through this rather well because there's various steps. You're not only looking at Ella Enchanted, but you're also looking at a different version. There's a creative piece where you write your own Cinderella story, and then the analytical piece where you kind of begin to analyze all of the components. So are you analyzing the slipper component of Cinderella? Are you analyzing the step family component? Are you analyzing the kind of the lost, lonely girl who gets found, or whatever the component is? You're kind of beginning to analyze that. So this is the bigger project. I would strongly suggest, ladies and gentlemen, that you review this and get in the mindset of, okay, this is what I need to work with throughout this week. That way, as you read through Ella, Enchanted, as you read through the other adaptations, you are able to pick and choose and kind of highlight what you need for in order to complete this project. So it's a create a 4 to 6 page project. Tracking one of the Cinderella stories across the varieties. So you're looking at Ella Enchanted. You're looking at another version from our readings this week. You're looking from a version that's outside of our readings, so something else that you are familiar with. And then there's a version that you will come up with. So part of it is creative, part of it is analytical. Take some time to read through. Watch this and read through all of the instructions, because it will be extremely beneficial to, again, multitask. So as you're reading, you're kind of paying attention. What does your story look like? What are you going to analyze? If at any moment you are confused or lost or kind of stuck in this project, send me an email, send me a message, and we can go through it. It's better to start this now. If you start this during day 5 or day 6, you're going to be cramming to get it all together. So because there are multiple steps, it would be easy for you to start on, like, let's say day 2 or day 3 and go through each of the steps one at a time. There's lots of handouts. There's various components that you're being graded by. So let me bring your attention to the analysis of how you analyze the 4 different stories of Cinderella. There's the original tale, your creative piece. Okay. Do you fulfill those requirements of adding in your element, giving us a new component of Cinderella that we've been unfamiliar with? Editing and formatting, as always, and then responding to classmates. So when you post this, way back up here, when you post this on the discussion board, you will actually have the opportunity to discuss. And again, I would not suggest waiting until the last couple days. I would suggest going in and making sure that you're commenting. Go back on day 6, day 7 if you haven't responded to anyone, and begin to make those comments as well. Okay. The very last thing, just like we did during week 1, we're doing during week 2, is the reading journal. The reading journals are more reflective. How did you do with this material? What sparked your interest? Kind of reflecting on your own learning. All of these entries will not be collected until week 7, but you are doing them now to slowly piece them together as we progress through the weeks. So if you look at the questions here, you're going to take 1 or 2 sets of these questions to answer in your half-page to page response. Which version of Cinderella was most surprising to you? How does Ella Enchanted comment on the roles of women and their assignments or their assigned roles in fairy tales and Western culture? Folk tales and fairy tales often reveal a lot about the cultural values. What does this take on our culture and from where we sit, or your own personal culture? How is it different or similar in that capacity? There's also the components of how does the spiritual side connect and feed through Cinderella? So where do we see biblical truth coming out? Where do we see the themes from Scripture overlapping into the themes of Cinderella? Where do we see that resonate for readers? Okay, so this is just the overview video. If you are lost or confused, please let me know. I don't want to take up any more of your time. I wanted to get you going on the reading. If you do have questions or concerns, email me, message me, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much, guys.